All right, guys, this is take two. Hopefully it'll tell me my stream health is good. And I'm not sure, but we're live again. And fingers crossed that this is going to work a little better than the previous attempt. But I will say that I am in the process of troubleshooting my equipment and I am able to narrow some things down. Ugh. But hopefully I will see this pop through shortly in my dashboard. All right, it says that I'm live, but I don't see it. You guys, I am having a day. Actually, I've been having a good day. I had some proof of concepts that worked out really well. Here we go. I am now getting the preview coming in, and oh no, I think I see myself moving, but I can't tell if some of those subtle things are just because I'm sitting still waiting or what. Okay, guys, I am having a day. All right, it looks like that it's moving, and we're gonna just cross our fingers and go for it and see what's going on. But yeah, a new computer, or I think my computer needs to go see a doctor. I think that is definitely in my future. So as I started to say the first time I tried to do this, we have some new to me Dharma Acid dyes, and I wanted to play around and sort of swatch them around and see what happens, get a feel for their hues, and if I see any breaking white right away or what. This can help me know how I want to play with them more in the future. Now, the pan's already warm, so I'm just keeping that low. It's still looking a little jerky, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going with it. I've done two of these types of videos before. You can find links to those in the video description. And the other thing that I wanted to share with everyone is KnitPicks is having a big sale right now. You can get savings of, I think, $5 off of a $50 purchase, $10 off of a $75 purchase, or $20 off of a $20 off of a $100 purchase. I'm popping my affiliate link into the chat, but you can go there and see all the details. I believe the sale ends on the 24th. And so, yeah, but it's a nice way to get some savings on some bare yarn or some non-bare yarn for your own projects. The other thing that I am going to be attempting right now is I want to attempt to play around with the highlight feature of YouTube streaming. Now, this is something through YouTube, not so much my computer, and I'm not sure if it'll give us both the full stream replay and a highlight reel, or just the highlight reel, or what. So we're going to give this a shot and see what happens in the end. The thing that would be ideal is, I know these live streams can be long, so if I can, as we go, create highlights, like obviously there would still be stuff that's not quite cut out, but the waiting periods I could keep from it. So we're going to give this a little test. We'll see. I'm not sure quite how well that will work, but I am going to grab some things and then attempt to do an intro for the highlight. Oh man. All right. Hello everyone. So let's see how this works. Oh. Okay, it says create highlight. Oh, I see. So I can keep the highlights, I just clicked on it for the first time. It didn't automatically start doing something. And it gives me a colors. Okay, it'll make the highlights private, it looks like. Okay, so I can get the player time, but then how do I know the end time? I see. Okay, so I can create, it looks like I can create a highlight, but it's not like, oh, I press start and stop. I can press start for the start time and then stop for the end time. Ooh, okay, I think that this, and then it would create a bunch of little videos. I think that this is actually going to be hard for me to manage. I thought that it might be like, oh, I could click a button like easily when I was getting up and then it would just give me the clip, but it looks like that they would give you multiple clips versus all of them stitched together. Well, okay, let's just try. Okay. Hey guys, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits and I'm attempting to create a highlight reel from my stream today. I have no idea if this is going to work or if I'll even be sharing this, but we're going to give it a go and see if I end up with a gazillion clips in my library in the end. At least it makes them private at first, so that's a good thing. We are going to be swatching a bunch of new to me Dharma Acid Dye Colors today, and yeah, this is a setup we've seen before. You can see links to past videos in the description. Everything I'm using today is dedicated dye equipment, and I will be wearing safety equipment, including my favorite purple nitrile gloves, safety goggles, and my respirator, so that way I don't inhale anything. So if I sound a little muffled, you know why. And yeah, so I hope that this will be a lot of fun. All right. Highlights. I'm not sure how that goes. And all right, we'll see how that works. Apparently I've tried it, so fingers crossed on that. All right, anyway, let's get started. I'm gonna turn the heat up a bit. Oh, I guess that maybe I should try, it's getting jerky. Guys, I am getting really frustrated with my computer. All right, I'm going to do one more test of another highlight clip, and then we'll see. But then I don't think I'm going to mess around with it this time. In the pan, I have 4 cups of water with 2 tablespoons of vinegar and 100 grams of Knit Picks Stroll fingering weight yarn. This yarn is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I have a nice little zip tie on here that makes it easy to flip over. And I'm in a hotel steam pan, which is one of my favorite kinds of setups. So if you enjoy this and you want to learn more about any of these items, there are affiliate links in the video description. All right, I attempted to create another highlight. And one other thing I realized, which is why in a way I might not be able to do this by myself, is that these highlights might not actually be based on my real time. It may be based on what you guys are seeing. So then these could be all out of sync. So this might be something that I need to really have someone go and manually do this for me. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna sort of hide the create highlight thing and not worry about that. I'll check and see how those 2 clips went, and then maybe we'll know to do it in the future. Goodness, everyone, thank you for being so patient. I am, real excited, and I think we're going to start with a bunch of browns and oranges. So again, oh shoot, I forgot that I had a snafu with this last time. So in the last stream when it came off, it's just the plastic thing slipped off. And so I just want to readjust. Readjust. All right. Hello, everyone. And now I sound real muffled, but let's go get started. And hide my, nope. No, there we go. Okay. All right, so the 6 colors that we are going to start with are sort of some yellows, oranges, and browns. And yeah, we're just going to have a little bit of fun. As I go in with each of the powders, I'm going to be using the back of a plastic spoon, like one of these. So that way I'm not introducing liquid into the containers, but also that way I can use more. It's a little faster and I don't have to wash my hands each time. So the first color is Sand Dune. I'm just going to take a little bit of powder and then sort of pat it around to get a sense. This is a warm-toned brown. I'm adding a little bit of specks around it with the other side of the spoon. Okay, so that is Sand Dune. That's actually, there's a hint where it feels a little bit pink around the outside edge, but overall it does feel nice and brown. The next friend is another brown, pecan brown. I'm also going to attempt, sort of wanted some like super light speckles. There we go. Get a sense of the hue. This one definitely feels brown versus purple. And the speckles look fairly brown as well. Actually, more pastel. The pecan brown looks a lot like the Sand Dune. So the hues of these two are very similar. And that little bit of speckling that I see right now is similar. I wonder if the relationship between these two is similar to silver gray and black and true black. And in my diary, I've drawn a little diagram so that way I can keep track of what colors go where. So that way at the end, at the very end of the stream, I can share some pictures of the different colors. All right, next up on the list is Fawn. All right, this one is warmer toned. You can maybe you can tell, but I definitely see some red, some red and orange in these speckles. Yeah, actually, so maybe those other ones are more cool-toned browns, and this is a more warm-toned brown. Me and tones. Okay, so that is Fawn next to Sand Dune. Okay, now we're going for more of an orange. This is Saffron Spice. And in the past videos, I wasn't as concerned about seeing some speckles, but today I do want to see some because I'm curious. The speckles here definitely look orange, which is nice. That's something that I sort of wanted to see. Let's do a little more. Okay, because some of the other oranges I had definitely felt more red. This feels like a very nice orange. I am happy with that. And I need to, there's a bit of powder in the threads of this lid. And so I just want to make sure that I am sort of cleaning up as I go along. But yeah, that's all really, really nice so far. Okay, we're going a little more yellow now. A little more yellow. This is Golden Poppy. Okay, so this definitely feels orange when it's concentrated, but you can see more of that gold tone as it spreads. And I see that gold tone in the speckles as well. I'm not sure how sharp all those speckles are, but they're definitely there. All right, and then finally, our last color for this first little swatch thing is one that I have technically used before, and this is Fluorescent Lemon. And you can see, hopefully, that we get these really like fluorescent highlighter neon yellow colors there. Okay, I'm going to wash off my gloves and then come back over. Make sure I have the rest of these. Oh, take off the mask since everything is closed up. Okay, so I have pecan brown. So this is pecan brown, and then next to it is saffron spice. And then here is golden poppy. Fluorescent lemon, and then right here is fawn. And fawn breaks. I like that golden. Okay, so the golden poppy is feeling very orange. It did feel a lot more like the center of that fluorescent lemon right away. And I want to see if I can get any more of it to spread out. No, I guess it is fairly orange-ish. And then here we've got that more like true highlighter yellow, which the fluorescent yellow or the fluorescent lemon is definitely neon, whereas the brilliant yellow is not neon. It's very bright yellow, just not neon. I am excited. I am so excited. And I'm now going to take a few pictures of this so that way I can caption it with the color names and then share that with everybody later on. So now I'm coming over to see the chat. I'm so glad that you guys have joined. Yeah, I think all of these colors look great. And it's really, I'm going to make myself smaller maybe. It's really helpful to see the way that these colors relate to one another. Because, especially with the browns, because sometimes when you look at like the poster and see the colors there, it can be helpful, but they don't have them all right next to each other. And so this can be really, really, really helpful for this could be really helpful. Sorry. This can be really, really helpful for them deciding what colors I might want to go play with. And since the tone of the sand dune and pecan brown, which are all the way on the left of the video screen, since those tones feel so similar, I think if you wanted heavier brown speckles, then maybe you should go with the pecan brown. Pecan brown? I guess I call them pecans unless it's pie, and then I say pecan pie. But anyway, but if you want sand dune, if you want some dark brown speckles, but you want them to be a little more spread out, then sand dune might be the way to go. Just like you could speckle black speckles with silver gray. So I'm not sure if you would ever get any like pastel type speckles from any dye, because I think the dyes tend to be fairly pigmented. But yeah, this is a lot of fun, and so I hope that this is finally working okay. What is that blue section? Oh, is that the... Oh. I wonder if that's interesting. Because I'm wondering if that is like my highlight attempt. Oh well. I am not going to worry about that. We'll see what happens. If I got 2 highlights or just 1, or if maybe I needed to change the name of the highlight in between, I'm not sure. You like how Spice looks with the fawn too? That would be a great fall follow-up colorway. Yes. So now is the point where I need to decide which of these colors I want to layer together. Because what I am going to do shortly is I am going to add some more water, and then we are going to play with these same 6 colors, but layer them on to create like a more like cohesive colorway. It'll be something that's layered and textured, and I honestly think I'm going to use all of them. Maybe not the sand dune. Yeah, maybe not the sand dune, but I think that otherwise I am going to use the rest of them. And then we'll be like layering them on top, which will give us sort of a non-repeating layered with some speckles. It'll be a really nice colorway. And I think it'll be fun. The stream definitely does not give justice to the fluorescence of that lemon. And maybe I should see if I can adjust that right now. I'm not sure what color brown you would need for that, Kathy. In terms of sports, I am usually thinking about actually, that might not be bad. Check with my hand. Oh, that's not bad. Let's try that. Yeah, when it comes to sports, I'm pretty much New England all the way. So the 6 colors that I have right now are starting. What the? Oh, okay. Starting over here and then going around is fluorescent lemon, then fawn, then sand dune, and then starting on the other side, coming back down, pecan brown, saffron spice, and golden poppy. These are all Dharma Acid Dye Colors, and they're ones that I haven't played with before. Yeah, these colors would have been perfect when I was doing the Fox Island. Yeah. I thought that, like, because I swatched some of the colors I had, I think, that day beforehand, and I was really bummed that these were some of the colors that I really wanted for that one, which I think is funny. All right, I am going to hide myself, and we are going to start playing around with this. We're going to move around. We're going to layer on colors. We'll flip it over, layer on more. Oh, right, I guess I did say I wanted to add more water. I think that we should do that. add another 2 cups of water with how much vinegar did I say was in here? I wrote it down in the video description so you could find it there. Oh, I guess I used, okay, so 4 cups of water with 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. And I am adding on some more. You can see that there's some colors that had not yet absorbed, but that is okay because we're here to play and to layer. And again, we're going for something that is going to feel more cohesive. Sometimes when I get to this stage, I only pick a couple of the colors, but I do want at least a little bit of that yellow around and a little bit of this more cool toned brown around as well. And so now I think I'm going to be, I need the spoons for the other colors, so I'm going to be using my fingers and washing them in between. And if I sound muffled and anyone wonders why, please let them know that I am wearing face masks for safety reasons. And that is why I now sound muffled. Okay. The colors on the stream, so they said that, I thought they'd ask because the colors on our tablet are slightly off. The colors on the stream are not perfect either. Let's go with you. And so this is a color that does spread out a ton. But so the goal isn't to hit everywhere, but we want this tone in more than just the original place for cohesion. How hot are we? We are not that hot right now. And it is funny how more concentrated this does have more of a gold color. But as it spreads, you see that highlighter. Okay, since we started with yellow, let's go in for some of the golden poppy, which is a lot more orange than I had originally expected. I think that I had expected it to be more gold colored overall. So I think right now, as I'm layering on these colors, the only ones I'm not doing, the only one I'm not doing is sand dune. And if I didn't have my other dye pan set up to do some more swatching in a moment, I would get a yarn mop around so that way I could, I would get a yarn mop so that way I could just wipe my fingers off on there. That probably would have been smart, but that's okay. Okay, so I don't want to use sand dune, but I will go in with this pecan brown, even though this is more, it's funny, at first I was like, oh, this is warm toned. But then as soon as I put the fawn on, I was like, oh wait, nope, this is a cool toned brown. More of you over there. More of you in here. Okay, and then sort of speckling with whatever's left on my fingertips. Just rubbing that on. So in between each color, I am washing my hand, or rinsing my hand off, and then drying it. And this is so I don't contaminate the dye spots. Now, we could definitely play with this and keep all these colors a lot more separate, but I sort of like what's happening. I think, there we go. The pecan is really saturated. I really like that. And so I'm touching it. We will get some speckles. There's definitely going to be some speckles left, but there's also going to be some spread as these colors layer on top of one another, which I think will be really, really pretty. So I guess I have fawn and saffron spice left for this current round, and then we'd flip it over. The nice thing is that here we do not need to, with this technique, I don't need to wait, which is kind of nice. The waiting is not super necessary because we can just flip and continue. I am regretting my lack of yarn mat. And one of the reasons why we'll be moving things is that we want to allow colors to strike, but we also, I don't want a lot of white with this colorway today. So, right. And I will be doing a recap of this video where I will insert a picture of the yarn before I started layering the colors, and then I will also have, so I'll have that, but then I will also do, I'm not going super heavy with the foam, a little bit more there. Okay. Yeah, I'll have the finished dried yarn and then like a sense of what things look like before I started mixing all the colors together. And while I'm up there, I don't really see the chat very well, but if there's a question, let me know. I'll focus. I think it's trying to focus on like the microwave a little bit that it could see. So fawn breaks, and that could be really, really fun to play with sometime. Let's see how we're doing. I mean, maybe I do want to let this sit for a minute. Okay. I changed my mind. I was like, oh, I want to move it right now. I think there's a lot of colors that haven't absorbed yet, and so I am going to let it sit so that way I can come and chat. Ooh, and take a break from the respirator. I don't know about all of you, but my allergies have been so wicked this spring that I am honestly suffering a bit. Let me grab and so I've got perpetual watering eyes. That's pretty though. It's really pretty. Very like fall inspired. Whew. Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know if you guys can see my watery eyes. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy this. I think I'm about to go and edit there's a third one of these that, so I have two of these on the channel. One is like I called warm tones, one I called cool tones. And then I have a third one that I don't even know what I'm going to call it. I think it's like, I think I just put the names of the dyes into the title of that one. I'm going to be editing that one tonight. And I was like, oh, I need to film a bunch more. And it's like, well, this makes a good live stream because you guys can see, we can chat, and then I can do the recap, and maybe I'll include the other older swatches in that recap as well. So it'll be helpful. Pardon me, everyone. Let me see. Oh, so have you guys ordered your summer samplers yet? So if you haven't gotten the news yet, I am also working on right now the 2019 Summer Mini Skein mini-series. And so at the end of July, there's going to be a week of videos that feature mini skeins, from the Dye Pot Weeklies to the bonus videos that will air in the evenings. And I am offering a mystery sampler that will have 1 to 3 mini skeins from each night wrapped up, so that way you can unwrap it as you're watching the video. These samplers aren't all going to be identical because since I'm playing with mini skeins, there's going to be a lot of fades and etc. that I'm playing around with, different techniques that we can do. And yeah, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The complete sampler won't necessarily be a fade set because the colors and the techniques in each video are pretty different, but I thought that it would be fun to show off some different techniques you can do with mini skeins and the fun sort of colorways you can create with that. And so if you're interested, the pre-orders are available in the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop. Sampler pre-orders. The pre-orders will ship the last week of June, so that way hopefully everyone will get them in time for the series in July. And all of the details are in the Etsy listing. There are also 2 add-ons in a separate listing. You can add on a full 100-gram skein of yarn or a full soft blank, either intact or unraveled. And actually you could add on more than one if you wanted to, so you could get 3 of the my limited edition summer colorway that I have not yet created. And so I think that I have a vision for what I want, but then depending on how many of those I pre-order or I pre-sell, then I might shift the technique a bit, because there are some techniques that are really easy to do on 2 to 3 skeins, and then some others that are easier to to scale up to do like 10 or 15. And so, yeah, I'll have videos of those bonus ones as well, probably at the end of that week. And so, let me see if I can, yeah, the one thing is with the add-ons, you do, hopefully the link that I did worked. Okay, because for the add-on, it was just showing my edit listing. Yeah, but to purchase the add-ons, you do have to purchase one of the samplers. So that is the link to your sampler. So yeah, that's my little spiel. And then all of that, will I be doing anything in cotton? Not for this series. I do have some more cotton dyeing videos that are coming up soon, probably sometime in June. I think I have 3 or 4 cotton dyeing videos in a row coming up. So I've used the Dylon hand dye powder for cotton yarn, and it worked fine. I did it with the recommended like room temperature techniques, and I did get some cool speckles and some really like interesting colorways. It worked, for all things considered, pretty well. I liked it fine. I can find tulip tie-dye easier, which is why I tend to use that a bit more. But I would be interested in combining the Dylon hand dye with heat at some point and seeing how that works. But in the sampler, in the samplers themselves, I do not have plans to include cotton at this time. All of the yarn in the summer samplers is all 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. But there are both fingering weight and DK weight options. And both you get 50 grams total or 100 grams of the fingering weight. So there's some options, and all those details are in that listing. I wish that I could include a non-wool option, but I think that to keep I chose these yarn weights so that way I could keep the since the fiber types are identical, I wanted to be able to keep the kinds of colors consistent across the different yarns as much as I could. So that way it's more about like the technique versus is it fingering weight or DK weight. And so that was my hope. Cotton, one of the things this summer that's absolutely on my list is to dive more into using fiber reactive dyes. And so I have a huge collection of Dharma fiber reactive dyes, and we'll be playing with that. Actually, I'm going to go in tie-dye with Lucas's pre-K class in like an hour and a half or so. I'll leave. But is my timer? No, my timer's slow. All right, I am going to go take a short little break, in like 2-minute break. While that timer is going, I'm going to get something to drink. And I might play a brief ad. Not everyone will see it, but this is one of those things that helps support the channel. So if you're not seeing the ad, don't worry, but if you do, you know, thank you. Thanks for hanging out and waiting. And then if you don't see ads, you always hear me like as I wait for the spot in the video. There we go. So I can place the play ad button. And it's like based on complex criteria. Da 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 da. We decide who gets to see an ad. All right. This is kind of fun. It's very like fall. And because of all the colors I've layered on, it does not feel, the yellow doesn't really feel neon anymore. But I'll talk about that again once the timer goes off. So I will be right, well, I guess I'm still here. Yeah, I didn't really go far. The dye lace weight cotton yarn with food coloring. So I have to say, you can definitely get some stains on cotton, but I do not recommend dyeing cotton yarn with food coloring. And I think this is something that in a lot of my videos, I have stopped sort of like giving this disclaimer in every single video. But acid dyes, and because of the way that they bind the fiber with acid dyes and food coloring, so food coloring is a type of acid dye, you really want a protein-based yarn. So wool, silk, alpaca, dog fur, you know, you want something that is a protein, and cellulose fibers aren't. And so the types of interactions just will not work the same kind of way, and you won't get as intense or as strong a color. And I do have some videos on that in my FAQ section on this YouTube channel. There's some videos on like what you can't dye with food coloring, so acrylic doesn't work, and there's some videos with and there's a video where I tried to dye cotton with Kool-Aid, and then I used everything that was left to dye some wool, and you can really see just the difference there. And I think that looking at what the dyes recommend can help. Sometimes I will dye wool yarn with things recommended for cotton or acrylic just to see if it'll work, but usually the reverse doesn't work quite so well. All right, I am flipping this over and maybe moving where the tie is a little bit. Ooh. And yeah, there's definitely still some orange that's spreading out, but I'm actually not mad with the depth of color that we have on the other side right now. I definitely want to add some more color. trying to place this. Okay. Yeah, definitely around the tie for sure. I think, all right. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to reach for all of them again, but I'm going to just do the same kind of thing and layer on colors onto this side. Milk yarn. If milk yarn is milk protein, I haven't tried using that before, but milk, it might. You don't really know until you try it out, but I would assume that milk protein yarn should work. No, I haven't watched those videos before. You want to give a brief summary for the chat? Okay. I think I want a tiny bit more fluorescent lemon. And again, if you're just tuning in between each color, since you can see my fingers are dusty, I am rinsing and drying them. I really wish I had a yarn mop on hand today, but alas, I do not. And I am going and poking. I don't even know if I added any down there. I added some over here. Okay. And so again, like, there will be some speckles in here, but not necessarily like super heavy type speckles because of the way that I'm going about this. And my willingness to move the yarn at these different stages. And so sometimes, like, I'll poke them right away. Sometimes I won't. The only one of the original colors that I'm not layering on is sand dune because it looked fairly identical to pecan. Oh, you dyed it with proper cotton dyes, but to try to get speckles. Yeah, a lot of the way that I've gotten speckles on, I think I'm not going to use enough saffron. The way that I get speckles on cotton yarns is by hand painting with a paintbrush. I have found that you just don't get, yeah, I think that just trying to jeez Louise. I have some videos where I used tulip tie-dye powder, and that works. It definitely works, but you get sort of a watercolor effect because the colors just don't strike fast enough. Okay. I'm okay. That just surprised me. It always surprises me when they sort of pop up a little bit, but it doesn't hurt. That startled me. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and poke now. And part of the reason for the poking is to help these colors spread towards the other side, and that helps with the layered look and helps with eliminating white. And thank you. Okay, so this time I don't think I am going to let it sit. I'm picking it up
moving it around to then see again if there's anywhere else I want to layer colors. I don't mind a little bit of a pastel anywhere. I just want it to feel sort of balanced and cohesive. But I'm going to go in with some, there we go, big pecan, pecan brown. The powder almost looks blue. Sort of tapping with some that's on my fingers. And letting that go in. But I am pretty satisfied with how this is going. I like it, and I will be poking it with a spoon shortly. It sort of softens the speckles because it gives some water to it. In some of the places there will definitely be speckles that are sharper, but I'm sort of making them a little hazier. And I'm actually going to turn off the heat and do a little bit of a swap now. And I'm going to be moving this to another set of burners, which is not the side I usually film on because the burners are different size, and I like filming over here where the burners are the same size. But I think shortly, I think I'm just going to start getting set up for us to do another set of colors.
Whew! Hooey! It's nice to be able to talk easily again. All right, our pan has 4 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of white vinegar, and I am coming over with 100 grams of pre-soaked stroll fingering weight yarn. And so we will be swatching some cooler tone colors. I did sort of group these into color families because based on a few criteria. There were the things that I most wanted to, actually maybe we'll try to fit a bunch on here. There are the colors that I most wanted to see next to one another. So like what's the difference between sand dune and pecan brown? But then there were also the colors I most wanted to see next to each other. And then also the colors that I thought would look good together on yarn that's together. Okay, so that's got some heat on it. Set a little timer. I'm going to put you guys on medium heat. And again, I'm using, everything is dedicated dye equipment. I'm using these hotel steam trays, catering steam pans, removable nylon zip ties that you can tell I've dyed a few times now. And you can find affiliate links for the yarn and everything else in the video description. And here I am. And I'll make myself bigger. It's not my me can. You can see me and I can come look for questions. You found some at 78% milk, 22% nylon. Ooh. Whisper, where did you find that? But that's awesome. Yeah, good luck. The nylon, as you can see from my nylon zip ties, the nylon will definitely take up some color because unlike other synthetics, nylon is a polyamide and proteins are polyamides. And so they have the same kind of structure on the backbone. And so you can get some similar results there. yeah, what was I going to say? The checking. It's always good when the school does not call me. Oh, awesome. And what's funny is I love when I get, I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I love when I get a notification that I am live on my own channel. Like, I'm logged into my personal account on my phone. YouTube, don't you know that I don't need a notification when it's me? Oh, at Hobby? Okay, awesome. What was I going to say? I don't know. All right. Looks like we're about bubbling. I see steam coming off both. Okay, you. I'm turning you way down low. Viking cream yarn. I'm going to write that down. I'll likely forget, even though I've written it down, but sometimes I do go back through my diaries to figure out what it is that I might have missed. All right, I am gonna go, I guess while I'm waiting, I'm gonna go and like clean up a little bit. Yeah, I'm going, before we get started, because the dyes that we finished using, I want to put away. Especially because I know I will be running over to the school as soon as I am done here. But making sure everything is screwed on tight. When I was removing, I think it was for the first color swatching video, I was like all pumped. And then I really need to add the color labels on top of these. Maybe that's something that I'll work on later. But I was all pumped, and then like when I was taking off the tire on the outside, the navy wasn't screwed on really tight, so it just exploded everywhere. Kind of hot today. What am I gonna wear? All right, let's see if there's any questions. Okay, we are gonna get going with. Oh dear, nope. Sorry guys. We are going to get going with round 2. And again, I advocate for personal safety equipment. If you guys are curious, I do have a link, an affiliate link to these as well. But these are the gloves that I use. I used them back like when I was working in a lab, and so I continue to order them because I really like them. What was I going to add? If you guys, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember what to say. But, yeah, and all right. If you guys are really enjoying this content, if you look at the bottom of the chat screen, there is a little dollar symbol there, which is sort of a nice way to give a one-time appreciation for the content that I create. I call these super chats, and they're super stickers now too, sort of like a tip jar. But other ways you can support the channel are by checking out the ChemKnits Patreon. There's links to that in the video description. And then also, of course, my Etsy shop, which I've already mentioned in this video. And eventually these yarns will make it into the shop as well. Is milk fiber a plant fiber? Well, so milk fiber, that's the question. I think that sometimes it's called milk protein fiber, in which case I think that it's created from the protein in milk. And so therefore would be protein based, but I'm not entirely sure. It is fun when Lucas is learning about caterpillars and stuff at school and about like the strength of silk and how silk is spit. And I'm like, yeah, Mommy plays with silk. All right, this time, I think I might want to make a bigger, diagram because I might go in with more
I've pulled it first. Our first friend is platinum. And I also sort of want to make sure I can see some speckles, but this is, I think, a purpley-ish gray. It's sort of a bluish gray. It's very, very pretty. Let me see if I can get any, like, just tiny. Yeah, and I think that the specks themselves don't necessarily look super, super dark. I could be convinced otherwise. Maybe at the very end we will want to play with that. Okay, looking at another grayish color that is definitely a blue. We're now going to look at some blued steel. That's a lot. So it is very navy-esque. At some point, I would want to swatch it with some navy just to see. But the navy, I think, feels a little more purple than this one. Okay. Next, I've got some Caribbean blue, which I believe is just another primary. I had peacock blue, which is also a primary. Maybe I'm wrong. Is this one of the primaries? Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. This is like Frozen on steroids. The speckles are bright blue. This is a dark blue. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, so this is Caribbean blue. No, I don't think that this is one of the primaries. I think that the primary that I have, I will pull up in a second, is sapphire blue, which I have because, oh wow, the Caribbean blue, there's a little bit of it everywhere. But I got some sapphire blue because the peacock blue is pretty. I like it, but it crushes out of a stock solution, and so I don't love my stock of it. So this sapphire blue is a nice primary and gives darker blue speckles than the Caribbean blue. Okay. Next, I've got some turquoise. And, okay, so the speckles of the turquoise do feel different from the speckles of the Caribbean blue. It doesn't seem like it breaks again, and it's definitely sort of like a turquoisey teal color. I don't know how well, turning off the heat on my orange guy, I don't know how well the difference between the two reads on camera, but I think that if you were to speckle with all three of these blues, you would potentially see a difference between them, which is pretty cool. All right, and I've got one more for this little family. This is bright aqua. Sort of want to get a little bit of, see if I can get just a few specks of it. Okay, so, oh goodness, and in the time it's feeling even harder to see, but I guess I used a little less of that. But I think that the bright aqua has just a little more yellow. So these three colors are very, very, very related. And I need to write all this down in my diary. So 72 glued steel. 407. 404. These are all Dharma Acid dyes. And this one is 424 turquoise. I'm going to swatch a few more colors. I am just grabbing a photo while we are here. What's funny is, and I still stand by it, that those speckles look different to me. The speckles definitely look different. And okay, there was a super chat that I would like to come and acknowledge.
I'm taking off the respirator first. Still have my safety goggles on. Let's see. Fantastic Neo, thank you so much for the super chat. And I am super tiny. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That helps a lot. It takes about 14 liters of milk to make 1 kilogram of milk fiber. There's a lot of good chat in there about milk fiber and other types of fibers. Awesome. Okay, it looks like on the stream you can kind of tell the difference between those 3 blues. The bright aqua, the true turquoise, and the Caribbean blue. I am actually really excited to play with those 4. I would like to swatch the sapphire blue versus the peacock blue at some point to see how those feel different in tone. And oh, I didn't make myself go away. But I am pretty into it. All right, we're gonna go. I have 5 colors left. I've got some sour apple, some radioactive, deep magenta, berry crush, and lilac. And I might just go for it and try to include all of these on here in some capacity.
Yep, we're going to go for it. Oh no. I forget that sometimes that there's a delay between what I do and what you guys see. And so sometimes I just see the current stream and I'm like, eek! Do I have enough spoons to do this? That's the other question. I guess the last one I could. I've got 4 spoons. Maybe I'll save the radioactive for last. Okay, how do I want to do this? I think I want to do on this middle round. Right now I've got some berry crush. Whoa, the deep magenta looks, the powder looks super red. So I got some berry crush and then some deep magenta. Okay, the deep magenta is a pink and the berry crush is more purple. And I say this as someone who does not consider a color that pink to really be purple. I personally would call both of them pink, but this one definitely has some more blue in it. And I am going to make sure to write this down right now, so that way I don't forget. Berry crush, deep magenta. And it looks to me like the hues from the specs are different in those 2 as well, which to me is always a really nice thing to know. Okay, next I'm going to go with some kind of changing gears a little bit. Here's some lilac. Which also, oh, that's deeper. I'm sure it could be like nice and pastel, but it also, I think some of these paler colors could all be really good for speckling. The speckles look, well, maybe I see, it's mostly purple, but I do think I see some pink speckles in there. So I don't know about breaking per se, but there's definitely some hue. Yeah, I do see, I think, 2 different colored speckles around there. Okay, next, and this is changing gears a lot. Okay, we've got some green apple. Ooh, that's pretty. It's not quite lime, but it's definitely like, it's almost like a grass, sort of more of a grass type color, but the speckles do look sort of like that yellow green. This almost looks like that color that is in, so when you speckle with forest green, there's a little bit of a lighter green in there, and that lighter green looks like this color right here. All right, the last one, which is going to make a little bit of a bang, and I'm going in with my fingers. This is radioactive. Moving my fingers over there. And then I don't think we'll use all of these when we go and layer on colors, but then we'll pick a bunch of these and layer colors on shortly. Man, I think radioactive looks a lot more yellow than I expected. Oh, I haven't poked it yet. Ooh, does it sort of break? Ooh, it's a much more like, I mean, the edges are absolutely neon, but it almost feels olivey, if that makes any sense. I can't tell if there's multiple colors in there or not. Whew. Okay, let's see. I feel like that's probably the one that like doesn't belong. It's like one of these things is not like the other. Coming and taking just a lot of pictures of it. All right, let me.
Ooh, so that way I can talk with all of you. Oh, and I should write this down. Ha! Okay, so then we had, next to our bright aqua, I had lilac. That one right there is lilac. That's 431. Then over here I had green apple. And then radioactive. Okay, so in summary, we've got platinum, sapphire blue, bright aqua, lilac, radioactive, green apple, true turquoise, Caribbean blue, blued steel, berry crush, and deep magenta. And those are the ones that we swatched on here. So how many is that? It's like 11 different colors. Not bad. Not bad at all. And so then, you know, I will edit a photo for the recap where I put the name of each of these colors on here. And so this doesn't tell us anything about the level of saturation. I'm going to come down and show my face. So these swatches do not give any information about the level of saturation that you might see. These are really only telling us about the relative hues and which ones are a little more red, a little more purple, a little more green. And so that's the information that we are getting here, not really any information about like how bright it is. Now, yes, previously we could see that sand dune was pretty much the same hue as the pecan brown, but just less pigmented. And On the screen, the platinum looks a little similar to the blued steel, but the platinum definitely has a slight blue undertone, but the blued steel has like a blue undertone. This one, the platinum definitely feels more gray, but I think it is a different tone than the silver gray. So you'd love to learn how to dye some more neutral colors. Do I experiment with that? Not necessarily specifically. Occasionally I do pastels. I do have one video where I was just from mixing colors going for a pastel. The rest of the pastels I typically dye are with leftover dye. But I do have, yeah, in like if I but neutral, yeah, I have a whole video that's dedicated to gray and black, and I'm hoping to play around with some more browns. In general, I love really, really bright colors. So the video with the grays, oh gosh, well I have a lot of videos where I start with gray yarn bases as well, but Dye Pop PS number 13, I play with just black and gray acid dyes. And goodness, what was the one where, so stenciling with, stenciling sock blanks, there's a video there where I did a lot of pastel, more neutral tones. And so that's another one, but I don't remember the episode number off the top of my head. Yeah, I like all of these colors. And so we're about at the time when we're gonna like go through and layer these on. I think that if I were just gonna play with all these colors, I could be really, really happy playing with all of these minus maybe the radioactive, the lilac, and the platinum. I mean, I think that those will be fine all layered in here, and we'll get something that looks and feels really cool. But just sort of looking at this palette, that's a direction that I would have a lot of fun playing with. I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys learn a lot from this. I mean, I really try things for the first time on camera, and sometimes I'm doing something that I've done before with a twist, but I think that like there is something that you can learn from someone experiencing something for the first time, and so I have fun with that. But let's go and, oh, yep, I better start going and layering on some colors because soon I'm going to have to go. Because I'm going to go tie-dye with a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds. And I'm going to need some good luck for that. I've got time, though. I've got plenty of time. So I will be getting muffled again because I'm going to put my mask back on if I can find it. It's over here.
Yeah, but doing these swatches like this and getting a sense of the colors right next to each other is a really fun way for me to get a feel of all of these colors. For sure, you could go and do it differently. You could go and get a feel for a bunch of colors. Oh, I want to add more water. You could go and get a feel for a bunch of colors by making dye stocks and dyeing mini skeins at, say, 1% DOS. That's probably a better way to do it. But, you know, this is a lazy, non-scientific way to go about it. And this really gets, I find that this really helps me decide what colors I want to play with more as time goes on. Okay, so with heat, the radioactive is looking a little less olive and a little more neon green now. It was feeling very much more olive before. Okay, I think I'm going to start with that, even though it's an outlier. I want there to be some balance with the colorway, and so that means adding small bits of some of these colors around. I mean, this is definitely a non-repeating colorway that I am creating here. There is no question about that. And I honestly might not use every color. At least not a ton. Well, certainly I don't have to use every color a ton. I mean, there's no question about that. Like, that's sort of a given. But, you know, I could go and, you know, some of these colors I might use just a tiny bit on this side and then not really use when I flip and move this around. And so this time I am not going and sort of pressing on all of these colors right away. I will probably poke on them with a spoon shortly, but I am sort of letting it exist. And so doing this will give a little bit sharper speckling than what we saw before. Okay. Sour apple is another sort of standout. And I'm using restraint for me. Can you tell? I actually am really enjoying the direction that this is going. I'm now going to go in and poke, mainly because I want some of these colors to spread a little bit. I want them to sort of go in and give us some like depth of color in other spots. Ooh, that bright green right there from where the radioactive layered with some of those blues. I really wish that there was a fluorescent blue, and there's not. Which is something that I'm a little disappointed about. Okay. Yeah, I like what's happening here. I definitely want more of, okay, what's the steel, the blued steel. Let's see what you want to do. And then sometimes you just let those speckles go. So there's no question that with all these tones, if I were to just mix the powders together, we might get something with mud. But because we're in this low immersion situation, we might not. Okay, sapphire blue. Need some of you. The goal when I do this is I don't want these colors to feel like they are out of place. And it really isn't that cold, so that's why I am going in with my fingers a bit. Or sorry, it's not that hot. Oh no, that I did not mean to do. I did not mean to do that. Alright, now I need to decide with these brighter blues if I need all of them. And that's something I'm not sure. Okay, I think I might start with some turquoise. But since there's some like yellow and blues in here, it might not be totally necessary to have all of those bright blues like around. Because when they layer on each other, we might get some of those different hues. But I also don't want those blues to feel out of place. And I feel like I need, it's so pretty. Yeah, I feel like I still need a little bit of some of those pinks. And I think I can do the deep magenta. Again, with all the blues, I think that the berry crush tone won't feel like it's super absent. There. Just some little hints of this color. Hopefully. Maybe right there. I will probably want to use some more of this color in some of the white patches. So is this yarn going to be a gradient or a fade? It could be. It definitely could have fade qualities, mainly because, or I guess it could have asymmetric qualities because it is so non-repeating. Okay. So this is a lot of colors to include in one of these. I don't think I would go out and pick this many colors, but what we're getting is so cool looking. All right, I'm going to turn up the heat a bit and set a timer for 10 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to wait that long, but we will then see how things are going. Oh dear. Ooh. Take off my mask. I always, at the end of the streams, with a slightly damp cloth, will wipe down my mask. And that gives me a sense that okay, I'm not spraying up any color on my face. But the place where I do make sure to be really careful after the fact is going and wiping down the edges of the pans, and I always check the floor. Usually the edges of these pans have some color, but the floor not so much, which is good, because I don't want, the only thing on my floor that I see right now is dirt. Because you can tell if you've got powder on the floor because you'll see little streaks, but I do need a mop in here, just sort of in general. I'm going to wash my hands. Dump that. What? Oh, I saw something and I was like, why is there this sea of yellow right here? I was like, what dye did I do? It was I think it was Kraft mac and cheese powder that I had missed the other day. I was like, I did not use any powder that was that color. Okay,
I'm a little obsessed with this. What do you guys think? I think that this is kind of awesome. It's making me think that one of those, like, I love doing those mystery dye-along kind of things, but I think that maybe I need to do, one with, like, I randomly draw some of the acid dye colors I have, and I have to combine them into one colorway. I think that maybe that could be kind of fun. I'm going to turn down a little bit again. Looks like a galaxy of stars and planets. Aw, thank you. I really, really like this. It looks like a rainbow exploded, yes. I think on camera, oh, welcome to the channel, Kawaii. Okay, I'm gonna upload a picture of this to my story, my Instagram and Facebook story. And let's see, I'm gonna add a sticker. Is there a live sticker? No. Yes. I just added a picture of it to my story so that way you could see there's a lot more green that I think it's not picking up those green hues very much. And if I missed a question, feel free to come back and ask again because I'm not going to scroll all the way back up through the chat. Oh, okay, I like this comment. Rebecca definitely makes it easier for non-chemists to enjoy yarn dyeing. Yeah, so those of you that are new, I do have a legit chemistry background. I have a PhD in biochemistry and molecular pharmacology, which I started staying home for some health reasons after graduating. And then I've been doing ChemKnits. I started it when I was in grad school. And then in the last, I guess at the end of 2017, I decided to go in and really start trying to make videos at a consistent rate. And so here we are now. There's something very Van Gogh, Jackson Pollock about it. Yeah, I think that this whole thing is, do they send to Europe? Huh. Yeah, so I love all of this. And I mean, ChemKnits started off as like my crafting lab notebook. I would keep track of the patterns that I used so that way I could go back and find it again in the pictures, and it was a way for me to organize all my thoughts about what I was working on. And then these dyeing videos have been kind of the same thing, and so that's just been a huge outlet for me, especially when struggling with some health things, and it was just nice to have a creative outlet. Yeah, it is just so fun, and I absolutely love this. I've got colors in the pan. I want to layer colors on and sort of see what happens, and I love dyeing by feel. Whether it's something like this with dry powders or just using squirt bottles, and again, randomly layering colors on top of each other over and over. I think those are my sort of favorite techniques. And it's always sort of interesting to me because I get a lot of questions about my business structure and stuff, and people are like, oh, I want to start a shop. And it's funny because I have an Etsy shop, yes, but I am primarily this YouTube channel. I consider making these videos the core of my business, and then the ways that I support my ability to do this is by selling the yarn that I dye in the Etsy shop. I'm an affiliate marketer for some of the brands that I use in my videos, which a lot of them I applied for because I'm like, Knitpicks, I'm using your yarns for my videos. And then found out that they had an affiliate program. So I'm like, since I'm promoting them already, it's just sort of like a win-win relationship. And if you guys aren't sure what affiliate marketing is, it basically means I get a tracking code. And so if you click on one of my links, they know that you were referred by Rebecca from ChemKnits. And so then they give me a commission based on what you purchase. And so I try to like be very clear what links are affiliate links. I always have links to Dharma Trading Company. I don't get anything from them, but they're, you know, I just sort of assume that like put in there that my links are affiliate links. But Knitpicks is having, speaking of Knitpicks, they're having a sale right now. This will take you to the coupons. You can save up to $20 off of a $100 purchase. And then you can even save 5 off of 50. And so, yeah, you should go and check that out. That sale ends in a couple days, and all the details are on their website. Oh yeah, being allergic to onions would make onion dyeing a little hard, I would think. Yeah, it's funny. This is something I don't love about my webcams. And maybe I need to try different streaming software, but I'm not able to adjust the colors to what I see in real life to my liking. And I don't think it's necessarily the camera's fault. I think it's somewhat the software and my inability to tweak the colors real time while I'm working on things. The phone does a pretty good job with the colors. And I've always been pretty impressed with its ability to accurately show colors. It's just harder with the webcams, and so that's always kind of a bummer. Oh, Virginia, that's awesome! I'm so glad that it looks cool. Oh, you guys, I'm so glad that you like really enjoy this content. My Instagram probably. Instagram, I'm just ChemKnits. I'm at ChemKnits on Instagram. I believe that might be in the video description. I'm not sure, but you know, so yeah. Oh, so I digress. But people ask me a lot about like starting like a yarn dyeing business, and it's funny because I think if I was just going to go and run a shop, there are things that I would do differently. Like I would have a lot more consistency with the yarn bases that I provide. Right now, there's sometimes I'll have something and I'm like, I only have 1 or 2 in this yarn base and that's all there's ever going to be. Or maybe there'll be more later because I want to explore a lot of different types of yarn and stuff on this channel. Even though there's a few that I use all the time, but I also explore some other ones sometimes. And also like with colorways, like there's not, like if you look at the inventory, like there's not a lot of cohesion between the types of colorways necessarily because they're from all different kinds of experiments, all different kinds of dyes. And one of my friends went and checked. She's like, oh, I needed some yarn for something. I went and checked your shop. And she's like, there wasn't a lot. And I'm like, yeah, because it moves. It moves through. But so there's things that I would do differently, I think, if I was just running an Etsy shop. But I am just eternally grateful for all of your support. And all right, I am obsessed with this. I was unsure about that radioactive being in there, but I think it adds like a nice level of contrast. And like, this is awesome. This is so, so awesome. And just fun. But, oh, I should say one of the other reasons why this is working so nicely is that there's only 1 skein of yarn in the pan. When you have 3, I think 3 is really the most I could fit in a pan. Things are denser, and so you get more white in between, so you need to flip it more. There's definitely some color around the edges that did not dissolve yet, but we are going to flip. And you can see we actually got really, really reasonable color penetration, which means that when we flip this over to the side that was against the pan, that was unexposed, there's a lot of color here. We're not seeing a ton of white. I'm still going to add color to this side, but overall, I think everything feels very cohesive. So back to the muffled respirator. What did I do? Oh, somehow I put that through. And how am I doing in time?
I am going to need to start hurrying up and stop digressing because I need to eat something before I go play with all these kids. I'm going to go back into the magenta because that's the one that I said that I definitely needed more of on the side to feel that balance. And by balance, I hope to have a little bit of every color in a lot of places. I don't want there to be just like one random red spot that when you go look at it, you're like, huh, where did that come from? But since there's so many secondary and tertiary colors that we're getting in here, I think that it's just sort of working. Let's do some Caribbean blue. Lowering the sheet. Add some over there. Okay, I'm going to take my spoon and sort of layer, you know, is this a speckled yarn? Sort of. There will be some speckles in here, like just by the nature of using powders, that's sort of what happens. But I wouldn't necessarily call this like I don't know. There's definitely speckles in here, but it's not like a heavy speckled yarn. Let's see. And are there going to be some pastel areas in here? Yeah. There's going to be some areas that like have more and less color, but I think that these are some of my favorites to dye, and I mean, it's not necessarily sustainable, some of the colorways I do to do all of them like this for a shop, just because let's do some more sapphire. I don't think it's necessarily sustainable to do all of this for a shop because you when we're doing it like this, what was I saying? Like this one is fairly labor intensive, and so it'd be hard for me to like up the production of this specific kind of colorway that I have going on. Not impossible, just hard. One could, no question, have like a huge series of pans, or like a warming cupboard or something to have a lot of pans. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. And so there's no question that you could have something like that you could scale it up. It's just, there are people that could dye like 100 different skeins in a day, and I have no idea. That's not something I could do at all. At all.
Whew. But yeah, I am just gonna like chat, and I did remove the gloves, but yeah, I'm just happy. I'm happy with, I just love this technique. And if you're just tuning in, it's quite different from the first one we did, but you can kind of see why I divided up the colors the way that I did. I think that there's some colors that would have gone great in both of them. And this is a reason why, you know, I probably should play around with layering colors in other ways. Like, I mean, I think that there's so many different ways that one could do this. And so maybe that should be a theme for the next, I don't know if I'm going to do another, if I would do a dice roll or what, but I think that there's just a lot that you could do. And, oh, you guys can't see me cleaning up. Oh no, do I have space for one more? No! Sorry, Lilac. You're gonna have to go in another box. But I'm at the point where I need to go, and I have 2 of the Dharma posters now, and I need to go and cut them up so that way I can add these colors onto the top. I think that it does a reasonable job. They do a reasonable job telling you what the relative hues are like, but it's still like hard unless you know all of these colors super, super well. It's just hard to know. Let's see. So like there's a tiny bit on that top edge, but usually I see like almost nothing. Yeah, there's like basically nothing on the counter on that side. There's probably a little on the plate in between. Yeah, there's a little bit of blue down there, but that's because I've also been placing the spoon there. But I always like do a big cleanup at the end. I'm just doing it now since I'm still sort of chatting. No, maybe I should move this so I can see the chat. And I love using like Lysol wipes and stuff on that counter. Using a fine metal strainer is fun too. I'm not as much of a strainer person. Dice roll with Dharma powders, maybe mixing some powder and sprinkling the mix on yarn. It could be amazing speckles. Yes, I actually have another, we'll see if I do it this week. Today's string happened really out of necessity because I want to play with some of these colors for a video that I'm going to film tomorrow. And I'm getting dye all over my hands. There's some like damp dye on the counter and I didn't put new gloves on. That's okay. When I go and I tie dye with kids, I'm going to be getting dye all over my everything. How am I doing on time? Okay, I'm fine. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think that mixing the powders together could be fun. But I think that if I'm going to draw colors from my collection at random, I need to have some level of choice of how I do it. Whether it's layering them in the pan like this, or if I will, layer them on the countertop to speckle and rub that up. Or, I would need to, because if I get radioactive and, gosh, I don't know. I mean, there's some color combinations that will work great together. Some that off to the top of your head, like layering like this, might not work as well. Oh my. That, one of those colors is quite bright on my fingers. I do have some stuff that should help remove that, but we'll see. I am thinking ahead. Yeah, and I know I'm like when I do some of this. Okay, cool, that's not bad. Okay, we're still under low heat. I'm gonna give myself a timer for 10 minutes to go and turn off the heat over here. Oh! Susan Cram, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And I like that little shaker for maybe shaking some speckles. That's really cute. Yeah, I think that you could do, there's so much that you could do. I think that if I was going to mix a bunch of powders together, it would be interesting to add some citric acid powder to that as well to sort of spread them out a little bit more. But that's definitely something that I think would be fun. Sorry, I think the mailman's coming. The blue up against the radioactive. Oh goodness, there's like 5 different blues in this pan. So unfortunately, I cannot answer that super well right now. But yeah, I tend to, like with powders, I like using my fingers. I like being able to have control over where I release more powder or where I go really light. And I find whenever I do with a strainer, I like hit it and then a lot of powder goes out all in one spot. And so it feels like a little splotchier than what I might be going for. But people have, that's the thing, and I will try to demonstrate more different techniques beyond just my favorites because I think that that's beneficial to everyone. But Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining in and hanging out with me while I played around with these colors. I appreciate being able to do this in live streams because then there's less editing, but I know that there's a lot more to like watch the whole thing. But again, in the recap, I will have an image of what the yarn looked like before I started mixing all the colors together. And then I will like label the different colors on there. So that information will be in that video that will be a lot shorter than this one. And I might also include some of the past ones that I've done, just so that way all of those different color like swatches can all be in one video. I think that maybe that would actually be pretty helpful. Yeah, I hope that you guys really enjoyed this, and yeah, I hope to be back soon with some more streams and stuff. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Make sure that you subscribe to the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel. That's honestly the biggest way that you can support me. By subscribing, watching, liking, leaving comments. Those help. Engaging with the videos helps more people see them because YouTube will then recommend them to more people or bring them up higher in the search results. So therefore, like you engaging with them is just immensely helpful. But if you want to like support more like, financially or something, again, I have a Patreon, I have an Etsy shop. There's links to all that in the video description, and there's some links in the iCard as well. Pre-orders for the 2019 Summer Sampler are still open. I chatted about that earlier, and there's details on that link. I think I put an iCard for this video. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It is my greatest pleasure that I can do something I am so passionate about, and that I am able to turn this into like a real little business. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much for all of the support. Yeah, you guys are the best. And now there's only one button to click. There's behind the scenes stuff. But all right, I'm going to go get ready to go tie-dye with a bunch of 5-year-olds. Wish me luck. I probably can't share any pictures of that, but I will see you guys soon. Bye, everyone.